Hi, and welcome to this year's edition of the Rider Sports Report. I'm Andrew Delsigneur. This week, we were lucky enough to have the chance to interview Greg Murphy from the Philadelphia Phillies field reporting team. His job helps the watchers feel more involved in the game when he reports from the places across the ballpark, including the stands and the dugout.
The Philadelphia Phillies, I've been doing that. This is my 8th season with the Phillies. I'm an employee of NBC Sports Philadelphia, and I'm also an employee of the Philadelphia Phillies. I kind of cross over and do both. It is literally my dream job. I grew up in Philadelphia. I grew up a Philadelphia Phillies fan. I grew up listening to Harry Kalas and those guys, and to have a chance every day to go and watch a baseball game and talk about it and be a part of the television broadcast each and every night. If you would have told me when I was sitting there at your age that I would be doing that, I think I would have probably told you we're crazy. But that said, I think I'm a perfect example of how you can get from the chairs that you're in right now and get to a point where you're either in front of the camera or behind the scenes working for a Major League Baseball team, working for NBC Sports, and it's not as crazy as some people might tell you. Because I had people tell me when you're starting out, I think that's maybe the best piece of advice I could leave you with is when you get to the point where you're going to be an intern, you're in college and you're going to start doing internships, or you're going to work at your student station at a university, the idea is do everything you can. Don't ever say no to anything. Hey, go run that camera. Okay. Even though if you've never run camera before, go do it. Learn how to use the editing software. Learn it all because you're going to need it. And when you get to your first job and your boss turns to you and says, hey, we're shorthanded. We need someone to, go out and shoot this football game. If you're the guy that says, I can do that, that goes such a long way.
For more information about Greg Murphy, follow him on Instagram and Twitter at gmurphnbcs.
Hi, I'm Justin Leary.
And I'm Miles Gaydon. On Tuesday, we met with Chuck Balzman, the former sports editor of the Philadelphia Daily News.
He talked about his experiences as an editor and gave tips for young journalists trying to make it in the media field.
What tips would be take any and every opportunity you can, even if it means volunteering, internships certainly. One of the things I talked about in my classes is that you can start a blog. You can become an expert in something. I don't know what media is in Flemington, but at your high school, the Star-Ledger, I'm sure, covers some of it. There's no way the Star-Ledger can get down into the grass and cover all the sports you guys have in your high school. You could become an expert in your swimming team. You can become an expert in the hockey team or something. And you can do a very professional blog. You can take pictures yourself or have a friend who knows how to take pictures. You can put pictures on the blog, use social media to drive with the parents, with the school, like, hey, you want to know about our great ice hockey team? Here's where you find out about it. You can talk to the school to promote it inside your school. You can get yourself a bunch of readers. And more important, you're getting experience every day.
Thank you to Chuck for taking the time to meet with us.
You can follow him on Twitter at Chuck Balzman.
Hi, I'm David Glass. This week we had the opportunity to meet with many media professionals. Within the sports media field, there are so many possible career paths. One path you could take is working at NFL Films. Someone we had a chance to meet with this week was Rachel McCauley, who currently works at NFL Films.
Hello, I am Varda Jacobs, and NFL Films is a company that was founded in 1962 by Ed and Steve Sable.
Networking is everything, because when you go to an internship or just to anywhere, a job fair, anything, you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to be around, and what type of experiences you might get out of it. So networking is pretty much the biggest thing, because you could meet somebody that day that ends up being the one that gets your foot in the door somewhere else. And, or you might not see somebody, you might work with somebody at an internship for a couple months, and then 2 years from then, maybe you want to go back to that place or something, and, you lead on them again. So I think it's very important to network, because those relationships can take you far, and you never know when they're gonna pay off. So at NFL Films, I'm a talent and player relations coordinator. So part of my job is to set up and book interviews for all the various NFL Films programming. So, there's all sorts of documentaries that we do, features that we do, and, so it's our job to call the person that we're looking for, also help suggest ideas if we're doing an Eagles film, say maybe you want to talk to this guy, or this guy you mentioned is not the best interview, maybe we want to go this way. And then, set up the interview, find a location for that interview, and, start to finish, just make sure that all of the producers get what they needed so that they can do their job, which is turn it into Emmy award-winning production. So it's, it's not just calling people, and, it's more complicated than that. Relationships, again, are very important in that aspect because, you never know if you're going to have to go back to somebody and how that's going to help you. So, because sometimes, it helps when you're calling on behalf of NFL Films, but if you're like, hey, Joe, like, how you been? That certainly helps it go even farther.
If you want to find out further information about Rachel McCauley, visit her LinkedIn page.
Hello everyone, I'm Joe Morani. Earlier this week we had the great privilege to meet with Aaron Carter, a multimedia reporter from the Philadelphia Inquirer. He had a lot of advice and insight for our futures.
In this business, more and more you start to see people that excelled in straight newspaper journalism being asked to do digital work. And whether or not you continue to improve and excel can, and sometimes, unfortunately, determine whether or not you still have a job or not. So that's, the kind of place we are in this business right now. So, and like I said before, don't let anyone pigeonhole you into, oh, you're just a writer, oh, you're just broadcast. Like, try to do as much as possible.
So would you change anything that, brought you to where you are now? If you could, anything on your path to where you are now?
No, wouldn't change a thing. I tell people all the time that car accident was simultaneously the best and the worst thing that's ever happened to me, because without that, I don't know what I'd be doing. I might be in a job that I hate. My first degree was in business, and the idea of trying to sell things to people and worrying about that, and just very little, to me, creativity in that. And so I couldn't survive in an office and try to do that. It's just not for me. And I realized that in a lot of ways, I think I was born to do this, to write and to tell stories and all of that. And so that's one of the reasons, as difficult as it can be and as much of a grind as this job can be, I love it, I'm passionate about it, and it doesn't feel like work. You know what I mean? I don't feel the need to cover pro sports. I know a lot of people think that that's the pinnacle of this business. But to me, I just love telling stories. And I think the stories, like Philadelphia, especially in high school sports, there are so many stories out there that are compelling and that need to be told, because for a long time, they weren't. And for a lot of different reasons. But I wouldn't change anything. And if I had my way, I'd keep doing this in particular for the rest of my career. I see why Ted Slary did it for 36 years. So,
if you would like to learn more about Aaron Carter, follow him at AceCarterINQ on Twitter or read his work in the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hi, I'm Tyler Comus, and this week we had the chance to interview Rider University alumni Josh Beltry. He is currently an associate producer for NBC Sports and Sunday Night Football. It was great to hear about what he does and all of his accomplishments, including his 7 Emmys. Let's take a look back at what he had to say.
I love football, and Sunday Night Football is a very big deal. It's the #1 primetime show on TV. It has been for a long time going. And I decided that if I wanted to work in the industry, I wanted to work at the best possible spot and the most competitive spot. So I talked to a couple guys at NBC, asked how I could get on the show, emailed the producer saying I was interested in the position that came open, interviewed for it, and I got it. And so since that point in time, so I started off Sunday Night Football 6 years ago. There's 2 edit PAs generally at home who each week in Stamford, Connecticut, work in the edit with a producer, gathering all the footage possibly needed for a Sunday Night Football game. How many people in here are not football fans? Anyone not a football fan? Everyone familiar with Sunday Night Football? All right, I just want to start talking about it and have someone be in the dark about it. So you start off with the edit PAs. There's an edit producer who works on all the packages. So say we have our first game is the Hall of Fame game coming up in a couple weeks. It's Broncos-Falcons. Something the edit PAs might grab is Julio Jones and all of the ridiculous sideline catches he has where he taps his toes on the sideline. Someone says that in the meeting. Our executive producer says, yeah, that's a good idea. They edit PAs, then this is on the list of many things. They go through search footage, similar like you would do here for stuff, and they just search for Julio Jones catches on the sideline. They gather enough. The producer sits with an editor. As a PA, you can gather stuff. You're never actually physically editing. We have editors, there are producers. They don't mix.
To learn more about Josh, make sure to keep up with him on his Twitter at jveltry. Well, that brings us to the end of our show. From everyone here at the Rider Sports Report, have a great night.